Howdy, Ags, and welcome to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. We are live on location here at Rudy's, and the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. As always, we thank you so much for joining us live here on Rudy's. All along the Aggie Radio Network, you can catch us at Aggie Football on Twitter and on Facebook. We thank you for being with us. Head coach, Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher is here. They missed you last week is what it was.
Yeah, they did. Halloween.
That's what it was. You know what? It's so good to be back together with you. We're going to talk about last week against Auburn. We'll talk about what's upcoming with Ole Miss and a chance. I may just talk about 3.5 quarters of football and forget the last part if you want. But
you might, but I'm going to talk about that other half. We're going to fix that other half.
Yeah, we will fix that other half. Jimbo, I would be remiss if you have the game in Auburn and watching, joking aside, the 3.5 minutes. You always say, don't let one loss become two losses. You play a great road SEC football game at the beginning of that Auburn game. It was a really good sign.
We did. What I was happy about, we got started fast, and both lines of the scrimmage we were controlling, running the football, stopping the run. And Auburn their defensive front is excellent. They've struggled running the football a little bit this year when they could throw it, but their defensive front it was a really good front. We were controlling that, blocking well. In the past game, we had some problems with protection at times, getting pushed back a little bit. But, those guys they were top 10 in the country. Yeah. And to play like that on the road with the consistency we did for basically 3 quarters, and then to just not be able to, and it's not major things, but they never are. Just like sometimes a spark plug wire lets a car not run. There's little things here and there that you consistently, you got to finish. 10 guys do it one time, and that may be the one part of the play that's significant. Sometimes you get away with that, but very, very rarely, especially on offense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. And then defensively, outstanding the whole game. we had one drive in the first half, and then the last 2 drives of the football game. And special teams, outstanding. We missed a field goal, which was critical in the game. And then because that was momentum, because they were up 13. And then the punt, just 2 guys got out of the lane, and we're number 1 in the country on that. And it was an accumulation. And lessons learned. Hopefully, you don't go and let it happen again.
Right.
But it shows you how quick and how fast one thing go wrong, and it can snowball, and it affects. And what and kids at this age don't understand sometimes, and hopefully we do quickly, and the mature teams do. That my part can affect the next guy and the next guy and the next guy and the next guy, but you build momentum for the other side, and that's what you got to learn to take out, and you got to learn to look at the game, and I want to dominate the game. I want to win the game, but I want to dominate my job, what we have, and never give hope to anybody, and hopefully we'll learn that lesson and keep getting better.
Yeah, that was the word that you used post-game. You gave Auburn hope, and they took advantage of it. When I say cruel, it's honest. You know what happens. The score is the final arbiter.
It is what it is on film.
Yeah,
and you learn you got to learn to put those things away. But again, do we get better? Yes, as far as certain areas and going on the road, play with poise, controlling the football game, controlling the tempo of the game for 3.5. That, listen, I played in the SEC for 13 years. People don't realize that, to me, is one of the 2 or 3 hardest places to play in this league. It always has been. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because how you get there, the travel, the long. You have to stay an hour away. You have to bus in an hour of the day of the game. There's different things. That's always been a very tough venue to play at, and to play as well as we did. I was very excited, but we didn't finish, and that's what matters.
You've been on both sides of that. You've been the visitor there,
yeah,
and you've taken advantage of being on the home
side,
right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
It was just, that you talked about that defense. It was 6 3-and-outs in there, and it's the 2-and-out because at the end of the first half, you score at the end of the second quarter. You score at the beginning of the third quarter.
We were converting third downs. We scored, and we had a critical turnover early, which is, we hadn't been turning the football over hardly at all on offense, which was great. But we had it. They scored. But then what I liked about on the road, I come back, had a long drive, responded, got ahead. Then they hit one drive. We responded right back before the half, got control of the game again. Then got it and scored the first drive of the second half. So the little things which we talk about, score at the end of the second half, respond to adversity in the game to mount yourself back in the game, not get a 3-and-out and keep a momentum. We did that scoring, did it first drive of the second half, but just did not sustain it all the way through. And, the whole time. And it was, if you go look at it, there's 3 drives in the second half where one play, and that the plays are there, they're there, and it's one person. It's not significant, and one was a missed assignment, the other was just missed a block, just a technique. Alignment, because everything goes down to this: alignments, assignments, and techniques. That's what usually all your mistakes come from. Do you line up wrong, or give the guy an advantage? Your assignments of what you're supposed to do, or your techniques of how you did it. And that just shows you when one guy can do it. Here's the thing in football. Well, I only had one. You're right. But if he has one, he has one, he has one, he has one, which is what happened those last 4 drives, all of a sudden those drives are gone. But that's the reality of playing. And you can't do it. You got to be perfect.
He is the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. That's Jimbo Fisher. I am Andrew Monaco. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, and it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. A reminder that Aggie football is brought to you by Bud Light, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. We will come back to Rudy's and continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie football from Learfield. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and we are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. Here in College Station, you can thank our servicemen and women by purchasing seats for them to attend the Texas A&M football game against UAB. That comes up next Saturday, November 17th at Kyle Field. Donate $20 military appreciation tickets today. For active duty, reserves, and retired military personnel, they can then request free tickets to that game on the 17th. Visit 12thman.com/military and donate $20 Aggie military appreciation tickets today. We continue with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. It is Jimbo Fisher. We see you on Facebook, and literally see you. Jimbo, we have, I promise this is going to lead to something. Columbus, Ohio, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Shreveport, Louisiana, Carrollton, San Antonio, Wiley, Brenham, and El Paso here in Texas. I hope I'm saying this right. Wasilla, Alaska, and Adelaide, Australia, checking in on Facebook. Here's my point, though. You remember when you held up that Aggie helmet and said, what does this mean? These are Aggies. They know exactly what that helmet means and what the loyalty means and and all that goes with it.
There's no doubt. I mean, as I said, the people of A&M were the key to A&M. It didn't take long to figure that out when you got here, and that's to reach out from all over the country and pay attention to what's going on and everything that's here. That's awesome. And thank you.
And if I may take the opportunity to everybody who comes here every week, thank you so much. I love seeing these smiling faces every week.
It's a great time. I enjoy coming here every week.
This is just a blast to be able to talk some football. And I always write some things down from what you say on Monday. But actually, I kept something from a couple weeks ago that I did not get a chance to ask you about.
All right.
So I want you to picture, folks, that this back wall has nothing but strips of film coming down, okay? No longer tape. It's no longer digital, okay? It's strips of film.
16 millimeters.
Jimbo talked about this a couple of Mondays ago. He was talking about when he was an assistant and you had to splice that tape, or you had to cut it, splice it, put it all together. You didn't have the Avids and you didn't have all this to put it together digitally. Do you kind of miss it? Is there a romanticism, or do you just not miss it at all?
You say you don't, but you do, because like I say, I don't know if all the technology and everything we have is the greatest thing in the world to have. I mean, I don't. And even there, like your opponents, there was an unknown. And now the more information you have, of course, just the more time you spend, the more things. It's not the more time, but the more you put into it. And the nuances of the game just increasing. But, back in those days, you had to wait. I mean, you never got the other opponent's game film until like Sunday night. I mean, you never had it. You know what I mean? You never had it broke down. You couldn't even watch it because, as GAs, we used to get it, and they'd have to develop it at the film place. They'd get it back, and you'd watch it, and then you'd have another copy. We'd get in the car at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and you'd play a team that was, say, 5, 6 hours away. You'd pick a spot 2.5 hours in the middle, and you'd go meet, drive there at 12:30, 1 o'clock, and exchange film. He'd give you yours. You'd make sure he didn't mess you up, because I had that happen too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then you get it and come back and get home about 3 in the morning. Then you put it on the thing. You start breaking it down. The coaches want to know what was on it when you got there. And I mean, when you had to do cut-ups, like I said, you had to make say there was a play on the tape, and you had to take all the, say, sweeps. You wanted to teach somebody to play.
Yeah.
Now you just hit a button, you got 10 of them. Mm-hmm. Back then, you had to go find them in the film, clip them all out, cut them, and we used to do cut-ups. We put a list up there and say, okay, that's that play. I have a big thing of tape, and then every time you cut that 16 millimeter tape, you take a piece of tape and put it on the wall. Go through every tape and get them all out, then go back and put a reel of them together, and you had to splice it, put it together, and then hope you didn't put it in upside down and have to redo it. And I mean, it just, the time and the consumption and all that sounds now like it's crazy, but man, it was just like yesterday, and that was the advanced technology you had then. I can remember when VHS come in.
Right.
When we got the VHS, wow, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to watch film and video your practices, because getting practice video,
right,
that was the impossible thing. You didn't get to watch. You practice. When you watched on the film, you had to coach on the film and be alert. But there wasn't until the VHS come in, you getting practice video and getting it back in time to be developed and stuff. It wasn't like today.
Right.
So you couldn't teach kids to the extent of showing them the mistakes and things on film. It was a whole different era.
Fewer games on TV.
Oh, yeah.
For that. So it would ruin your day if you had a dull razor, right?
Oh, those splice machines. And it was time consuming now.
That's just I love the way that it has evolved. But you have so much appreciation for your entire staff when they're putting all that together for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have no idea how many people it takes to run an organization to handle the offense, the special teams film, the defensive film, to get it broken down, to get it into play, and get all the cut-ups made, and get to the people. Each coach has a guy that, it has to have a guy that puts everything in place for him so he can have the film to watch and do it. And, I mean, it takes an army. I mean, it really does, because you're on a timetable.
Right.
And the quicker you can get it watched, the quicker you can get evaluated, the quicker the people that look at it can give you the assumptions. You can make decisions on what to do, how to do it, what game plan you're putting in. I mean, it's for a lack of a term, in a crazy way, you got to have the people. It's kind of an arms race, and making sure you got enough people to handle all your business and all the things. It's like you're running a company. Mm-hmm. It's all the people who do everything.
And you appreciate because you've been in their role.
Oh, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I tell you, like I said, I love being a head coach, but it's funny. You look back at some of the funnest times you ever had in your life.
I'll bet.
They really are.
That is awesome. He is Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. First, a reminder that AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing, that's our thing. Come on back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. This is Aggie football from Learfield. Aggies Can will once again take place. It will be this Saturday at the Ole Miss football game. All fans who donate a canned good or monetary donation will receive a coupon for a free Whataburger while supplies last. The proceeds of Aggies Can benefit the Brazos Valley Food Bank and the 12th Can, thanks to KBTX and Whataburger for their support of Aggies Can. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and we are at Rudy's as we are every week, and the Aggies do take on Ole Miss on Saturday. And you hear a lot of coaches talk, and you hear how they describe things. And Coach, you described Ole Miss quarterback Jordan Ta'amu as twitchy. Can you explain to fans what twitchy
No, the
means?
athletic suddenness. He's very sudden. I mean, he can make decisions. His body, he can translate from his mind to his feet, get it to his hands. I mean, he can make it real quick. If you jump him, I mean, he can get out of the pocket. He can run. Very sudden. You see those explosive athletic guys. That's what the twitch, the athletic twitch that lets them do that. And he can run it. He can throw it. He can make decisions. I mean, the guy, he's had a heck of a, I guess, last year and a half.
Yeah, he
played
has.
really well.
He has. And this is an Ole Miss offense that is number 2 in the conference, second to only Alabama. They're scary, aren't they?
They are. They throw it, and they got big physical receivers. I mean, guys that can run. Back's a really good player. Tight end blocks a lot, but he's a very athletic guy himself. Very good line. So they do a really good job on the offensive side of football.
Yeah, Scotty Phillips is their running back. He's just behind Travion Williams when it comes to running. We talked about the all-purpose. Jordan and Kellen are I believe, 3 and 4, or 2 and 3. They're right there. You're talking about is it A.J. Brown and DeMarcus Lodge, and that you're looking at 66 and 60 catches a piece for them.
Yeah. I mean, they put
all
it there.
facets have to be good on defense.
They do. We got to be able to stop the run. They can run it. They can throw it. And they can get it down the field in intermediate routes, and then the quarterback, you got to account for his legs too. So, I mean, it's going to be a very, very challenging day. You know, the best thing to do then is score points on offense and eat the clock as you do it and stay ahead and keep getting ahead.
That being said, this is an Ole Miss offense that has had some trouble. So it could be high scoring, or if you stop them, then you take them unbalanced. But you like that balance. You got that balance against Auburn that you always talk about. The running yards, the passing yards, they seem very
We hit the
even.
field goal and finish one more drive. We're in great shape.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was, again, I had 1 3 and out, I think, the whole time in the day. And I think, you know, that was moving the ball. You just got to finish. We got stuck on that 40, 50-yard line a couple times and got a penalty one time. And that happens when you play good teams, but just you needed 1 or 2 more drives, and you got to find a way to get them.
I asked you today when we were talking. It's for Saturday, but you have Travion, you have Jay Sean, you have Kwame where you can be in that backfield, and sometimes I forget Kellen gives you another running threat back there, doesn't he?
No, he does, and everybody just sees the legs in which he runs with. The other thing is how we're able to run the ball inside is because they can't stack guys inside because of the quarterback run game outside or inside. And his ability to pull the zone reads or the gap reads and get on the perimeter with his legs and do things. So you have to play him equal. So it bounces things up inside. So your numbers to be able to run the football and have if they have an unblocked guy, he can read that guy. And then the pressure of him giving it, taking it, and then you get another quality guy on the edge. That opens up. People have no idea how much that helps our offense and what it does in the running game. And as I say, we don't have a lot of seniors. So having that experience, there's a couple guys, but having his legs really helps, and lets those young guys get going. And now they've gotten the confidence. Now we're running the football, and we got to do it, and we got to continue to throw. We were throwing it extremely well, and then we had 9 drops in the game. And then last week, Auburn was good in the secondary. There wasn't a lot of separation. They got good pass rush, but we still threw it for 200-some yards and had a couple touchdown passes. But just got to get better in what we're doing.
I just flat out enjoy watching Travion get towards the line, see that hole, put that foot in the dirt, and just change direction and go with some power.
Well, what you're talking about, that's the twitch, that's suddenness. To be able to stick your foot in the ground, accelerate, hit holes, and do a good job. He's doing a good job blocking, too. For the most part, he's done a really good job blocking, lead blocking, too. That's
been fun to watch him. Let me get an update from you. Eric McCoy was in and out of the game. He came back in at the end of that game. How's Eric?
Good. Practice all day today.
Excellent.
He was excellent. Had practiced the whole day today and was good to go, and that's a big deal because him coming in and out, I mean, as I say, the other guys come in and did a great job. But, I mean, Eric is one of the top guys, not only in this conference, I think in the country. I think Eric is a big-time center and makes a big difference. As I say, when that middle guy in there can make a difference in the push and the shove. Because they had, like, say, Brown and those guys they had inside. Those guys are going to make a lot of money, and Eric did a great job. We were able to run that football inside along with our guards and things and what we did.
Eric is just so dependable, isn't he?
Oh,
and so smart.
Well, that's why. He's an accountable, dependable person, which we talk about. Accountability, dependability, 2 greatest abilities you can have.
Yeah.
If you got those 2 abilities, athletic ability is God-given. Yep. And then what you do with it. If you're accountable and dependable, you develop that, and Eric does that. But his understanding of football and to be able to make calls and get guys on the right assignments and the blocks and get everybody going in the right direction, and then the physicality to be able to execute on top of that, I mean, he's a really, really good football player.
Is Jamon close?
Yes, Jamon practicing this week.
Excellent.
We expect Jamon in the game. I don't know how much of it in the game, but he will get back in, which will be a big help for us. And we got to limit. We're seeing how he practiced. He halfway through practice, he was at his limit he was on Tuesday, and we thought he was good. And he said, no, he felt great. So I'm anxious to see how he feels tomorrow. He practiced rest half of that practice too. So I mean, he's getting back in there going, so hopefully we can get him back out there and get him rolling in a significant amount of snaps.
How is Derek Tucker on the defensive end?
Good. He's practiced this week.
Excellent.
He's practiced this week. He's in there taking reps, so we expect him to be back out there too.
As I ask you that,
I forgot we had all those guys out. Like I say, you keep them out.
Yeah.
Hawker probably won't be.
Gotcha.
He probably won't be in. Chapman is getting back to practice, so maybe another week or two you can get him on some things and get back in shape. And yeah, I'd forgotten how many guys we'd gotten banged up. Now you say that. Because as a coach, it doesn't matter. You got to play with what you have. You know what I mean? Who's next?
But it had been pretty good for so long in the last couple of weeks. It came up and bit you a little bit. The injury bug came up and bit you.
But like I say, everybody has it. That's part of ball. Yeah. That's the luck that goes with it. and the things that go. And that's why you got to keep developing those younger guys.
It was nice to see Miles Jones. You were talking
Played
about
really
him.
well
He
in the
played
game.
very well. Yeah.
Played a good job in the game. Played good practice this week.
Excellent. We will have more from the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show as we continue from Rudy's. And the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Texas Farm Bureau invites you to visit 12thman.com/maroon contest. Register for your chance to hang out on Kyle Field with the Yell Leaders at the next home game. That would be on Saturday. Winners get photo ops, game tickets, pregame hospitality, and the chance to get a pregame tour of Kyle Field. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Come on back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Live on location here at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs and 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station for tonight's edition of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Ian Curtis could not be here, but Ian... He actually sent the question.
We got to do one now.
Yeah, because Ian doesn't realize he's become my co-host. Really good questions. I love him. His PS, by the way, is sorry I couldn't make it this week, but I still had to get a question in. What did you learn early in your coaching career that surprised you?
A lot of things. But, you get caught up. And I'm going to teach them this. I'm going to do this. But I think the key thing I ever learned, and one of the most important things, they will never care until they know you care. They will never care until they know you care. I mean, people would have a hard time. I mean, they listen for a while, but football's such a hard sport that there's a grind to it that's just different because the way you have to practice and do it. And it's tough. I mean, it's not for even people, and I love basketball and baseball, but it's different. It's just a different world. And, there's a lot of teaching, a lot of time. It's such an intricate sport, and you want to teach and get everything across, but kids have a hard time in something that hard and is grinding that hard. That if they know you care, then they care. If they don't think you care about them, and it matters,
right.
Now that doesn't mean, like I tell them, caring about you means making you do it right. Mm-hmm. Not some of these kids today think, well, if you care about me, let me do what I want. That's a different thing, you know what I mean? But if they know you care, it's amazing how hard you can coach them, what you can push them to do.
Did it help you that you were a player, and again on both sides? You had coaches deal with you. You now reverse it. You're dealing
no
with
doubt.
players.
You do, because you get that perception of how things are done and why it's done. And I always tell this too. But I never appreciated how hard coaching was and how detailed it was. And one of the greatest, Terry Bowden, who was one of the guys I played for and coached for, one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, it's not what you know, it's what you can get him to know. Because, that's why sometimes great players can't become great coaches. They can't get it across, or they can't articulate it or explain it. And the best thing he ever did for me, one time we were doing all of our run steps for every running play we have as a quarterback, our pass reads. He said, okay, write them all out so they can read them and know exactly what to do. I said, okay, I'll write them all out. Wait a minute. And I started writing them. And then all of a sudden I read it myself, and I said, that's very vague. There was no detail.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was limited detail. When you start writing to where when they read it, the picture comes in their head, and you could do that. And then when it made me do it, it made me want to and I learned to talk in those terms to a kid that when you're so detailed and articulate, you say, well, you can't be. Well, you can. And you have to be if he's going to understand it totally to where the extent of doing it right. And it made me really understand how hard coaching is. Listen, players say, well, I played. Let me tell you something. Coach, it's different. Mm-hmm. I played and coached. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the worst commentators, I always say, is ex-players because they never coached. Because playing was a heck of a lot easier than coaching, I promise you that. I love them, but unless you've ever coached. And I joke about it because it's what you got to get them to know and how hard it is to get. Some guys learn audio, some guys learn visual, some guys it takes time. They have to try. There's so many different avenues of things that guys you have to get to when you coach that you never had to deal with as a player.
Right.
And it was very eye-opening to me, all those things. But the details of it and learning to talk a picture, if that makes any sense.
Sure does.
When you coach, you have to talk a picture.
You got to be part psychologist too, don't you?
Oh, no doubt. I told him, my son, I told Trey that. He was. He says, I'm going to be a coach. I said, oh, Lord, if you're that dumb, you go do it then. And he's a very smart young man, straight-A student. I said, why don't you go enjoy your life? You know what I mean? I joked about that because I said it's 210. I said, you ought to look at majoring in psychology. I said, you should, because understanding of people and how things go and what things do, and because as a coach, that's what you are. Yeah. You're dealing with every facet of every life, every race, every religion, every creed, everything, rich, poor, you name it.
Yeah.
And you have to understand those what makes them tick and what makes people work. And I learned from our sports psychologists, our psychologists. It's a constant educational process for me to learn people. Mm-hmm. You have to learn people, and it's an ever-going, and ever-learning, ever-changing cycle all the time.
That's awesome. That is Jimbo Fisher. He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Tune in to Fox Sports Southwest every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Catch the pulse. Stay up to date with Texas A&M football. We're coming back to Rudy's in the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie football from Learfield. Kids, you can be the future of the 12th man. Join the Junior Aggie Club today. Members of the official Kids Club of Texas A&M Athletics are 12 years of age and younger. Join the Junior Aggie Club today. Receive free admission to Aggie athletic events throughout the year, plus exclusive access and experiences. Group, sibling, and 12th Man Foundation discounts are available. Visit junioraggieclub.com and join today. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and we are live at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road, here in College Station. A reminder that following on the Aggie Radio Network, we tip off the 2018-19 edition of men's basketball. Billy Kennedy and his crew will take on Savannah State over at Reed Arena. I'm going to try to cut out of here a little bit sooner, but this is like being a kid and playing one sport to the other. I'm going to go from this show right to there.
You got the best job in the world now, just back and forth.
Jimbo, I got the best job in the world. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Second maybe only to you. I want to follow up on the learning the coaching. Jimbo, how did you learn game management? How did you learn that over this and all the decisions? Did it get easier the more you did it? Was there someone that you looked up to and learned, or is it something that you just have to do?
As a kid, when I was in Pop Warner, Little League Baseball, one thing my dad always said, and my dad, you always say, well, blah, blah, you always, oh, Dad, why did you do that? He always asked me that, why? Why you did it, why it was right, why it was wrong. And he always would say, figure it out. Well, Dad, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. Don't matter, beat him with your head. Learn situations. Learn how to manage games. Learn how to steal games. Learn how to work the clock. Learn how to – it was a constant all the time about – because we would sit and watch ball and just talk about those things. Should call timeout here. Shouldn't call timeout here. I know that sounds crazy. It wasn't a coach. Mm-hmm. I joked about this. When I was in junior high football, my football coach, I called the game.
Did you really?
I called the timeouts. I called before the half. I did that. I was in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I called the plays for the game. I did this. I did that. We managed the clock. Whatever it happened, and it was just always the whys of the game just intrigued me. How to hit a three-pointer, get a timeout, get 2 fouls. Whatever it was, and studying the whys of the game and how the game, what made everything work. It just intrigued me in everything we always did. And my dad influenced that, though, because he made me think that way. I'm talking about a young
really?
age.
Mm-hmm. Did something like that become second nature?
It did. I always did.
Yeah. So
he always did that. My mom would never let me use paper to add and subtract. Had to do it in my head. They tried to. My parents believed in this. Think. Right. Don't let a calculator think for you. Don't let paper think for you. Put everything in your head. Remember. Mm-hmm. Your memory, learn to do things in your head, process 2 or 3 things at a time, and to think things all the time.
So you don't want me to go here and Google something, right?
I couldn't Google it anyway. You can Google it all you want. I can't. Hey, I joke about that. I'm the most computer illiterate person in the history of the world.
But that takes some of the thinking away, right?
That's why I got all them people hired over there.
Did you beat yourself up if you made a wrong decision?
Oh, Lord.
Did you really?
I joked about it. I tell you a quick story. It was about 2 years ago. My son Trey was at a 7-on-7. He's a freshman quarterback, and he was ever going to win the tournament, and he threw a pick at the last play of the game on a play in that tournament. He was a freshman in the high school tournament. And he came home, and I called my mom and saying, well, how'd he do? I said, he did good, but he played excellent. They had a bad play on the last play, and it didn't work out. And I said, what's he doing? And he said, well, I said, he won't talk to me. He said, oh, I wonder who that sounds like. She said this, is he in his room with the door shut? And I said, how'd you know? She said, well, you to go up there for whether I played bad, didn't do my job, I'd go in the room, shut the door for about a day, and then after they'd leave me alone, after a day I'd come out and I'd have everything all worked out in my head. But, I said, I didn't even know that's exactly what he was doing. He shut the door for a day. He didn't talk to me. And then he come back after a day. He had it all figured out. I said, you good? And we talked it out. Yeah, I'm good. Moved on.
And then you focus. You have to – when I say forget, you have to let that
go.
No,
you do.
You have to remember the
mistake. But you have to process
and
you learn. Mm-hmm. You let it sink in. And you how many times you play it back in your head? People say, why, like in a game, like, how many times I've played what happened at the end of that game? How many different, what you could do, what you could call, what you could say, or influence a player, there's nobody who self-critiques yourself more than a competitor himself.
Right.
Some people don't, some people do. I just happen to be one that does. And even when you're successful, they say, can't you enjoy winning? I said, that goes in you enjoy it, but you're worried about what can I improve? Because things, and when you're coaching and you're playing, things are never a problem until they're a problem. And the worst thing can happen is get good results for the wrong reasons, and not consistent reasons. You get by with something, sometimes talent, sometimes things like that. And, they're never a problem until they're a problem. And the way I look at it, if that would have been the best team in America, if we won a game, if that was the best team in America, where could we have not gotten by with? You know what I'm saying? And the things that go on. And it's just how you think. It's the way your DNA works. It has to.
Right.
Because this game that's what I tell people. If you can go coach and be happy doing something else, go do it. If you can't be happy doing anything else, then coach. Because it's too time-consuming and too demanding. There's too many things from recruiting to doing that to be the elite guy and to be the elite team. It's too demanding not to. But, to me, like I said, I've never had a job in my life.
Right.
I love it. Yep. It's just the way I think and the way I am.
You're like me. When it becomes work, I quit.
Huh?
When it becomes work, I'm done. That's it. I play for a living. You know that? He is Jimbo Fisher, and he's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, and we will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Texas A&M football is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit, together, we're better. Come on back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie football from Learfield. Stay up to date with Texas A&M football. Tune into Fox Sports Southwest every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. and catch The Pulse. The Pulse at 5:30 on Wednesdays, and the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit comes your way from Rudy's, just like tonight from 7 until 8 o'clock. AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. Coach, a question from Facebook. Don't kill the messenger, okay? What the heck is Jimbo eating out of that cup? Beans, cobbler, ice cream, slaw, nails?
I like to spit some nails about right now. No, it's great barbecue.
Some great barbecue is right.
That's my dinner. I'm hungry. I had a little bit. Had a piece of little chicken at lunch, and that's all I've had today. So
you go right back to the office, do you not? And you're walking.
Yeah, we do.
You guys leave very late at night.
And watch film, whatever. These nights we get down to probably 11.
Gotcha.
15, something like that.
Then as the week goes on, you have your practices. Fridays are your walkthrough. Is that more the mental day?
Oh,
for
no
your
doubt.
team?
I mean, the psychological disposition, the last 48 hours of teams, that's where the great teams hone in on the details. You've watched the film, you evaluated, make all your corrections, write your tips, reminders. We give them tests. I mean, they even have tests. I mean, you have full tests on what you're going to do, all your calls, all the things. We have signal callers meetings. We have video. You have to sit there, and I'll be and say for us on offense, if I'm running the offensive meeting, call the play, right center, give me a mic call, boom. And everybody, as soon as you hit them, they got to call the assignment out, what they do, how they do it. Then you have walkthroughs. Then you have other video. I mean, it's a complete psychological situation to get them to understand everything you want to do, why you're going to do it the first 15, 20 plays of the game, first 2 short yards, your first third downs, first goal line plays. I mean, they know going in. I mean, and so it's reaction,
right?
And then making it as quick as they can know, and it's get them ready those last 48 hours.
You always talk about that habit, right?
You do.
So it becomes a habit.
It does, and you can talk it, and you can see it, and if something's out of whack, then they know it immediately.
Once they identify it, right?
Yes.
They don't have to be told any longer.
Yes, I mean, because there's only so much you can do. It's like I tell everybody, I said, well, how's it going to be, Coach? I said, well, let me tell you what. It's like driving. You know how to drive? Yeah, I know how to drive. I said, what's the guy in front of you going to do every day? Well, Coach, I don't know that. Well, I can't tell you everything that guy's going to do either. I said, playing football is a lot like driving a car. You're driving down the road. You have your rules. You know what to do. You know how to apply them. But sometimes things happen. You have to have that gray area to manage, and that's why you got to give them know as much of and understand the concept of why you're doing it, and what's the whole concept. So when it's something varies off of what the film says, you can naturally. And that's what they talk about guys being instinctive and know how to play. Well, generally, it's funny. The most instinctive guys that watch the most film.
Yeah.
Because they kind of know what's going to happen before it happens. And that makes you kind of instinctive. So when you like a test, you usually make an A on the test. But it is like that. I mean, you try to put it as much as you can, but there's still a part of it that you can't – you turn your kids out in life. You prepare them as best you can. Every situation is different. They have to have but you got to have the base rules of what you're trying to do.
He's Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We'll come back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and we are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. On Saturday, it is the Aggies and Ole Miss, 11 o'clock, officially an 11:06 kickoff. 10 o'clock will be our pregame along the Aggie Radio Network, along with Dave Elmendorf and Will Johnson. We will join you in preview on that one. The one thing you told me today is do not allow a loss to go become another loss. You never allow the bad from one to good. How's the practice been this week to avoid having
Monday
that
was good. Tuesday I thought was good. I didn't like the way we started today. I just called him up. I mean, didn't yell, hey, we had some mistake. Just little, again, details. I said, what cost us in the last game, guys? Do you want the same feeling again? No. Well, let's fix it. Then, all of a sudden. But, you say, well, they should do it all the time. That's human nature, man. It just don't work that way. If it was that easy, I wish it was sometimes. But then they come out and they practice good, and hopefully we'll go play good. I think we got a good plan. I think they understand the basis of it. We'll refine it tomorrow, and if there's any little tweaks or turns, we'll put it in tomorrow, and then add another day to add some things, and as far as perfect them, and then go out there and play. And we're going to have to go play really well.
That's you really are. But that's typical SEC, Jimbo.
Oh,
right?
that's why I love this league.
Yeah.
I mean, every week you don't know what's going to happen. Everybody can play you. Everybody can beat you. And you got to play and you got to prove yourself every week. And if you don't like competition, you're in the wrong business. And that's what makes this league so unique.
Just being home isn't the cure-all. You still have to perform even though you're at home. It helps. I get that it helps. But
if it was all there, I mean, if those fans, I mean, they do make you win. They help a huge part of it. But we have to go perform. And they say, well, those fans get loud. Well, I tell you what, they get louder when we play well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We play well and do our job, then they get louder and louder, and it makes it tougher and tougher. So hopefully we'll do our part, and I know they'll do theirs because they have every time. As I said, this is one of the few places I'd never played at and heard about.
Yeah.
And people do who I respected very well, and it's an unbelievable place to play a football game, and our guys are blessed to do it, and I'm blessed to coach it.
You want someone to pump them up, just have Cully go out there right around 35. He goes right to that student section, and everybody's on their feet all over again.
Exactly right.
He's something special.
They do. And then our people are. They back us, that's for sure.
That is outstanding, and that will be on Saturday. I'm going to let you go early because I'm going to head over to Reed Arena. Thanks, as always, Coach.
All right.
Always a pleasure. Absolutely love this hour.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
You bet. He had Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. I'm Andrew Monaco. We still have one more segment to come, so please enjoy that. But most of you along this Aggie Radio Network will join you. Billy Kennedy tips off his 2018-19 season. That comes your way next here along the Aggie